Some moments in history feel like a collective breath, a surge of hope that unites us all. The rise of Barack Obama was one of those moments. More than a political event, it was a story that echoed our own dreams and struggles. His journey from a boy of mixed heritage to president showed us that where you begin doesn't define where you end. Obama's story is for anyone who's ever felt like an outsider, anyone who's dared to dream beyond their circumstances. He taught us that our differences are strengths, not barriers. His presence in the White House was a beacon for millions who saw themselves reflected in power for the first time. We watched him not just as a leader, but as a husband, a father, a man who carried immense expectations with humility. His story was real, full of resilience, setbacks, and the courage to keep believing in people. When he succeeded, it felt like we all did. He invited us to believe in our own power to create change. This is a story that belongs to all of us, a chapter in our shared history, still inspiring us to write our own verses of courage and hope. Barack Obama's story begins on the sunlit shores of Hawaii, born to a Kenyan father and a Kansas mother, Ann Dunham, a woman of fierce intellect and boundless curiosity. His childhood was a mosaic: Hawaii's diversity, then Jakarta's unfamiliar streets, where he learned new languages and saw both beauty and hardship. His mother, unwavering in her belief in education, woke him before dawn for English lessons, determined he'd never fall behind. These early years abroad gave him a global perspective and a deep empathy for others. Raised also by his Kansas grandparents, he was grounded in American values: hard work, integrity, and decency. The absence of his Kenyan father left questions, but also a connection to a heritage he'd spend years exploring. This unique tapestry of beginnings shaped a young man comfortable in many worlds, prepared to build bridges. It was this foundation that would one day inspire a nation. For young Barack, the search for identity was complex. Black, raised by a white family, straddling two worlds but belonging fully to neither. He felt the sting of difference, the confusion of not fitting in, and the loneliness of forging his own path. He wrestled with the legacy of a distant father and sought answers in the works of Black authors, searching for a sense of belonging. The questions were profound. Where did he fit? How could he honor both sides of his heritage? This outsider status became his greatest asset, sharpening his empathy and ability to listen. Through self-reflection, he learned that identity isn't given, it's claimed and built. His mixed heritage became a gift, giving him a broader, more inclusive perspective. The boy who once felt he belonged nowhere was learning how to belong everywhere. After Columbia, Barack could have chosen a conventional path, but he was drawn to purpose, not prestige. He became a community organizer on Chicago's South Side, working with churches and residents hit hard by economic decline. The work was humble, but it grounded him. He listened to people's hopes and frustrations, learning that real change starts from the ground up. In Chicago, he met Michelle Robinson, a brilliant lawyer who became his partner, anchor, and confidant. Their relationship was built on respect, shared values, and laughter. Michelle was with him every step. His time as an organizer taught him patience, persistence, and the art of building consensus. He saw both the barriers people faced and their resilience. Progress was slow, but always worth fighting for. The streets of Chicago became his true classroom, shaping his values and voice. Here, the future president found his purpose and the foundation for his life's work. Ambition growing, Barack attended Harvard Law, becoming the first black president of the Harvard Law Review, a sign of things to come. Yet he returned to Chicago, teaching law and serving as a civil rights attorney before running for the Illinois State Senate. Then, in 2004, everything changed. As a little-known state senator, he delivered the keynote at the Democratic National Convention. For 17 minutes, he spoke of hope, not blind optimism, but the audacity of hope. He called for unity. There is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America. His story became a symbol of America's promise, a place where a skinny kid with a funny name could belong. The speech electrified the nation, turning him from a local politician into a national phenomenon overnight. It was the spark that introduced the idea of Barack Obama to the world. The conversation had begun, and the seed of possibility was planted. In just 4 years, that seed would blossom in ways no one could have imagined. After his 2004 speech, whispers of a presidential run grew louder. Could he really do it? As a first-term senator, the odds were long, but hope had taken root. In 2007, on the steps where Lincoln once spoke, Obama announced his candidacy. His campaign was powered by millions of small donors and passionate volunteers, not big money. Yes, we can became a rallying cry, a declaration that change belonged to the people. He faced tough opponents and the weight of America's racial history, but he met it with courage and honesty. His landmark speech on race called for unity and understanding, trusting Americans to face hard truths. On election night 2008, the world watched as history was made. A barrier broken, Hope realized. The journey from outsider to president was complete. In that moment, Hope truly won. On a cold January day in 2009, Barack Obama took the oath of office, inheriting crisis, economic collapse, wars abroad, and sky-high expectations. The poetry of his campaign gave way to the hard reality of governing. He faced monumental challenges but also achieved landmark victories. The Affordable Care Act extended health insurance to millions, a promise kept from his days in Chicago. Every decision was scrutinized through the lens of race, but he navigated with calm and grace. We saw his humanity in tragedy, his resolve in tough decisions, and his steady hand through storms. There were triumphs, rescuing the auto industry, ending the Iraq War, and setbacks as division persisted. Through it all, he led with intellect, integrity, and faith in the American people. His message of hope wasn't just for campaigns, it guided him through the fires of leadership. He proved that hope can endure even in the hardest times. When Obama left office in 2017, his legacy was more than laws, it was a shift in what America believed was possible. For 8 years, children of every background saw a black family in the White House, forever changing the image of leadership. He broke barriers and empowered others to dream audaciously. His character, grace under pressure, compassion without weakness, set a new standard for leadership. The Obamas modeled a modern, loving partnership and a family grounded in service. In his post-presidency, Obama continues to inspire, working through his foundation to empower the next generation. He remains a global citizen, tackling challenges from climate change to threats to democracy. His story reminds us, hope is an active choice, the courage to believe tomorrow can be better. Barack Obama's journey was never just about him, it was a call to all of us to carry the light forward. The question now, what will we do to keep that hope alive?